Let me ask you something. How many people do you know who are scattered in their approach to life? How many people do you encounter every day who are trying to do everything, be everywhere, please everyone, and accomplish nothing of significance? The answer, my friends, is most people. Most people live their lives like leaves blown by the wind, moving from one distraction to another, one emergency to the next, one crisis to the following crisis, never taking the time to plant their feet firmly in the soil of focused intention and grow into the mighty oak they were meant to become. The successful person, the one who achieves extraordinary results, understands a fundamental truth that escapes the masses. They understand that attention is the most valuable currency in today's world, and like any currency, it must be invested wisely, not spent carelessly. When you focus so hard on your goals that others think you've disappeared, you're not actually disappearing at all. You're appearing more clearly and more powerfully in the one place that matters most, the arena where your dreams become reality. Think about this for a moment. When a sculptor approaches a block of marble, does he concern himself with every chip of stone that falls to the floor? Does he worry about the noise his chisel makes or whether the people passing by understand his vision? Of course not. He focuses with laser-like intensity on the masterpiece he sees within that marble, chipping away everything that doesn't belong, ignoring the distractions, dismissing the doubts, and dedicating himself completely to the emergence of his creation. To the casual observer, it might seem like he's lost in his own world, disconnected from reality. But the sculptor knows better. He knows he's more connected to what truly matters than he's ever been in his life. This is the power of disappearing into your focus. This is the magic of becoming so absorbed in your craft, your calling, your contribution to the world, that everything else fades into the background. When you reach this level of concentration, this depth of commitment, this intensity of purpose, remarkable things begin to happen. Opportunities that were invisible before suddenly become clear. Solutions that seemed impossible begin to present themselves. Resources that appeared scarce start flowing toward you like rivers converging at the sea. But here's what most people don't understand about this kind of focus. They think it means becoming antisocial, becoming a hermit, cutting yourself off from family and friends and the joys of life. Nothing could be further from the truth. When you focus so hard on your goals that others think you've disappeared, you're not disappearing from life, you're disappearing into life. You're diving so deep into the essence of who you're meant to become and what you're meant to contribute that you touch the very core of what it means to be fully alive. Let me tell you what happens when you reach this level of focus. First, your relationship with time changes completely. Most people are slaves to time, always feeling like there's not enough of it, always rushing, always behind, always stressed about deadlines and obligations. But when you focus intensely on what truly matters, time becomes your ally. Hours feel like minutes when you're engaged in meaningful work. Days feel productive even when they're challenging. Weeks add up to months of substantial progress instead of months of scattered activity that leads nowhere. You see, time isn't really the issue for most people. The issue is focus. The issue is priority. The issue is the ability to say no to good things so you can say yes to great things. When you're scattered, even 24 hours in a day feels insufficient. When you're focused, those same 24 hours become a workshop where miracles are crafted, a laboratory where breakthroughs are discovered, a studio where masterpieces are created. Second, your relationship with obstacles changes dramatically. Most people see obstacles as stop signs, as reasons to quit, as evidence that they're not meant to succeed. But when you're focused so intensely on your destination that others think you've disappeared from their world, obstacles become mere detours, not dead ends. They become puzzles to solve rather than problems that defeat you. They become opportunities to grow stronger rather than excuses to grow weaker. Think about water flowing down a mountain. When water encounters a rock, does it stop and complain about the unfairness of obstacles? Does it hold a meeting to discuss alternative career paths? Does it seek counseling for low self-esteem? Of course not. Water simply finds a way around, through or over the obstacle, always maintaining its focus on reaching the sea. This is the kind of persistent, patient, purposeful focus that creates extraordinary results in human life. When you develop this level of focus, you develop what I call obstacle immunity. You become so clear about where you're going and why you're going there that temporary setbacks don't derail you. Criticism doesn't discourage you. Delays don't defeat you. You maintain your course because your focus is stronger than your circumstances. Your vision is clearer than your current reality. Your commitment is deeper than your temporary comfort. Third, your relationship with other people transforms in beautiful and powerful ways. Now, some people might worry that intense focus makes you selfish or uncaring about others. But here's the truth. When you focus so hard on becoming the best version of yourself, on developing your talents, on contributing your unique gifts to the world, you actually become more valuable to everyone around you. You become someone worth knowing, worth learning from, worth being associated with. Think about the people you most admire in history, in your community, in your field of interest. Were they scattered individuals trying to please everyone and accomplish everything? Or were they focused individuals who disappeared into their calling and emerged with contributions that blessed countless lives? The answer is obvious. The most valuable people in any society are those who have learned to focus their energies on what they do best and do it with excellence. When you focus so intensely that others think you've disappeared, you're not abandoning your relationships, you're improving them. You're no longer the person who shows up to every social gathering with nothing interesting to contribute. You're no longer the friend who calls constantly to complain about the same problems without taking action to solve them. You're no longer the family member who drains energy rather than contributing it. Instead, you become the person others seek out for wisdom, for inspiration, for example, of what's possible when someone commits fully to their growth and development. Fourth, your relationship with money and resources changes completely. Most people have a scarcity mindset about money. They believe there's not enough to go around, that they have to struggle and sacrifice and compete fiercely for their share of a limited pie. But when you focus so intensely on creating value, on solving problems, on serving others through your talents and efforts, you discover something amazing. The pie isn't limited at all. In fact, your focused efforts help make the pie bigger for everyone. Money flows toward value, and value is created through focused effort over time. When you disappear into your focus, when you become so absorbed in perfecting your craft and serving your market that others wonder where you've gone, you're actually positioning yourself to receive more money than scattered effort could ever generate. You're becoming the kind of person that money seeks out, the kind of professional that opportunities gravitate toward, the kind of contributor that resources flow to naturally and abundantly. Let me share with you the difference between scattered effort for money and focused effort for value. The person who chases money directly usually stays broke or barely comfortable. They jump from opportunity to opportunity, from get-rich-quick scheme to get-rich-quick scheme, from job to job, always looking for the easy path to wealth but never finding it. They remain scattered, and scattered effort produces scattered results. But the person who focuses intensely on becoming excellent at something valuable, who disappears into the development of their skills and the service of their market, finds that money comes as a natural byproduct of their focused efforts. They don't chase money, money chases them. They don't beg for opportunities, opportunities seek them out. They don't worry about security. They create security through their focused competence and consistent value creation. Fifth, your relationship with your own potential changes profoundly. Most people live far below their capabilities because they never focus long enough or intensely enough to discover what they're truly capable of achieving. They dabble in this and sample that. They start projects and abandon them. They set goals and forget them. They make commitments and break them. As a result, they never experience the deep satisfaction that comes from pushing through barriers and discovering new levels of capability. But when you focus so hard that others think you've disappeared, you enter a realm of personal development that most people never experience. You discover strengths you didn't know you had. You develop skills you didn't know were possible. You achieve results you didn't know were within your reach. This isn't magic or luck or accident. This is the natural result of focused, sustained, intelligent effort applied consistently over time. Think about any area of excellence you've witnessed, whether it's an athlete, an artist, an entrepreneur, a parent, a teacher, or any other role where someone achieves remarkable results. You'll find the same pattern. They focus so intensely on their development in that area that they seem to disappear from other activities. They said no to good opportunities so they could say yes to great ones. They invested their time and energy so specifically and so consistently that they developed capabilities that seem almost superhuman to those who remain scattered. Now, let me address the fears that keep most people from developing this level of focus. The first fear is the fear of missing out. People worry that if they focus intensely on one thing, they'll miss opportunities in other areas. This fear is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how opportunities work. Opportunities don't disappear when you focus, they multiply. When you become excellent at something through focused effort, you don't miss opportunities, you create them. You become an opportunity magnet rather than an opportunity chaser. The second fear is the fear of what others will think. People worry that if they focus so intensely that others think they've disappeared, they'll be judged as antisocial, obsessed, or unbalanced. But here's the truth. The opinions of scattered people about focused people are irrelevant. The people whose opinions truly matter, successful people, wise people, accomplished people, they understand and respect focused effort. They recognize it because they've practiced it themselves. The third fear is the fear of failure. People think that if they focus intensely on something and fail, the failure will be more painful and more public than if they remain scattered and mediocre. This fear keeps more people trapped in mediocrity than almost any other factor. But here's what focused people understand. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of success. When you focus intensely on something, you will encounter failures, but you'll also develop the skills and resilience to learn from those failures and use them as stepping stones to success. The fourth fear is the fear of success itself. This might sound strange, but many people are actually afraid of what their life would look like if they achieve their goals. They're afraid of the responsibility that comes with success, the expectations that come with achievement, the changes that come with growth. But this fear is based on a misunderstanding of what success actually is. Success isn't a destination where you arrive and then stop growing. Success is a journey of continuous development, continuous contribution, continuous fulfillment. So, how do you develop this level of focus? How do you learn to concentrate so intensely on your goals that others think you've disappeared? Let me give you a practical framework that you can begin implementing immediately. First, you must become crystal clear about what deserves your focus. Most people fail at focus not because they lack the ability to concentrate, but because they've never taken the time to decide what's truly worth concentrating on. They try to focus on everything, which means they focus on nothing. You must choose your targets carefully and deliberately. Start by asking yourself these questions. What activities, when you engage in them, make you lose track of time? What problems, when you think about solving them, energize you rather than drain you? What results, if you achieved them, would make the biggest positive difference in your life and the lives of others? What talents do you have that, if developed to their full potential, would create the most value in the world? The answers to these questions will point you toward the areas that deserve your deepest focus. Don't choose too many areas, choose one or two at most. Remember, the goal is to focus so intensely that others think you've disappeared, not to spread yourself so thin that you disappear entirely. Second, you must create boundaries that protect your focus. In today's world, there are more distractions available than ever before. Social media, entertainment, news, gossip, drama, emergencies, both real and imagined, all of these compete for your attention every single day. If you don't deliberately create boundaries to protect your focus, these distractions will steal it piece by piece until there's nothing left for what truly matters. This means learning to say no to requests that don't align with your focused goals. This means turning off notifications during your focused work time. This means choosing your social activities carefully rather than accepting every invitation. This means limiting your consumption of news and entertainment that doesn't contribute to your development. This means surrounding yourself with people who support your focus rather than constantly trying to distract you from it. Creating boundaries isn't about becoming rigid or antisocial, it's about becoming intentional. It's about recognizing that your attention is precious and treating it accordingly. It's about understanding that every yes to something unimportant is a no to something important, and every no to something unimportant is a yes to something important. Third, you must develop rituals and systems that support your focus. Focused effort isn't something that happens by accident or by willpower alone. It's something that happens by design through the creation of environments and routines that make focused work easier and more natural. This might mean setting up a dedicated workspace where you do your most important work. This might mean establishing specific times of day when you focus on your most important activities. This might mean creating preparation rituals that help you transition from scattered daily activities into focused work mode. This might mean developing review systems that help you track your progress and adjust your approach as needed. The key is to remove as much friction as possible from the process of doing focused work. Make it easy to start, easy to continue, and easy to resume after interruptions. Make it harder to get distracted than to stay focused. Design your environment and your schedule to support the person you want to become rather than accommodating the person you've been. Fourth, you must learn to measure your progress by depth rather than breadth. Most people measure their productivity by how busy they are, how many things they're involved in, how full their calendar is. But focused people measure their productivity by how deeply they've engaged with what matters most, how much progress they've made on their most important goals, how much value they've created through their concentrated efforts. This means tracking different metrics than most people track. Instead of counting hours worked, count breakthroughs achieved. Instead of counting meetings attended, count problems solved. Instead of counting activities completed, count skills developed. Instead of counting connections made, count relationships deepened. Instead of counting information consumed, count wisdom applied. When you start measuring your life by depth rather than breadth, you naturally begin to allocate your time and energy differently. You begin to see the difference between being busy and being productive, between being active and being effective, between being involved and being impactful. Fifth, you must cultivate patience with the process and trust in the compound effect of focused effort. Most people give up on focus because they expect immediate results. They focus intensely for a few days or weeks, don't see dramatic changes, and conclude that focus doesn't work. This is like expecting a single workout to transform your body or a single deposit to make you wealthy. The power of focus, like the power of compound interest, reveals itself over time. When you focus so intensely that others think you've disappeared, you're making an investment in your future self. You're planting seeds that may not sprout immediately but will eventually grow into mighty trees. You're building foundations that may not be visible above ground but will support magnificent structures. You're developing capabilities that may not be apparent today but will become invaluable tomorrow. The person who can focus intensely while others remain scattered will always have an advantage in any field, any market, any economy. They will always be more valuable, more capable, successful, and more fulfilled than those who allow their attention to be scattered by every distraction that comes along. Sixth, you must learn to find fulfillment in the process itself, not just in the outcomes. When you focus so hard that others think you've disappeared, you spend a lot of time alone with your work, your thoughts, your challenges, and your growth. If you only find satisfaction in external recognition or final achievements, this journey can feel lonely and unrewarding. But if you learn to find joy in the work itself, in the daily progress, in the gradual development of your capabilities, then the journey becomes its own reward. This is why it's so important to choose focus areas that align with your natural interests and talents. When you're working on something that genuinely fascinates you, something that challenges you in ways that feel stimulating rather than draining, something that uses your unique gifts and abilities, then the focused work becomes a source of energy rather than a drain on energy. Think about children when they're absorbed in play. They can focus for hours on activities that engage their imagination and curiosity. They don't need external motivation or rewards. The activity itself is rewarding. This is the kind of focused engagement you want to cultivate in your chosen areas of development. When the work itself becomes play, when the challenge itself becomes fun, when the growth itself becomes addictive, then you've found the sustainable source of focused effort. Seventh, you must understand that disappearing into your focus is not a permanent state but a cyclical practice. There will be times when you need to emerge from your focused work to connect with others, to rest and recharge, to gain new perspectives, to celebrate progress made. The key is to make these cycles intentional rather than accidental, planned rather than random. Schedule times for focused work and times for social connection. Plan periods of intense concentration and periods of relaxation and reflection. Create rhythms that honor both your need for deep focus and your need for human connection and renewal. The goal isn't to become a hermit. The goal is to become someone who can focus deeply when focus is needed and connect fully when connection is needed. When you master this balance, when you learn to disappear into your focus and then emerge with new capabilities, new insights, new contributions to share with the world, you become one of the most valuable and respected people in any community. You become someone that others seek out for wisdom, for guidance, for example. You become a person of substance rather than just activity, of depth rather than just breadth, of impact rather than just involvement. Now, let me share with you what your life will look like when you truly master the art of focusing so hard that others think you've disappeared. First, you'll discover that you have more time than you ever thought possible. When you stop scattering your attention across dozens of activities that don't matter, you suddenly have abundant time for the few activities that do matter. You'll accomplish more in focused hours than you used to accomplish in scattered days. Second, you'll develop a level of competence and confidence that surprises even you. When you focus intensely on developing specific skills and solving specific problems, you'll discover capabilities you didn't know you had. You'll find yourself handling challenges that used to overwhelm you. You'll create results that used to seem impossible. This isn't because you became a different person. It's because you finally gave your existing potential the focused attention it needed to emerge. Third, you'll attract opportunities and resources that align with your focused efforts. When you become known as someone who does excellent work in a specific area, when you develop a reputation for reliability and quality in your chosen field, when you become the person others think of when they need help in your area of expertise, then opportunities begin seeking you out rather than you having to seek them out. Fourth, you'll develop inner peace and satisfaction that comes from knowing you're living in alignment with your highest potential. There's a deep contentment that comes from knowing you're not wasting your life on trivial pursuits, that you're not squandering your talents on activities that don't matter, that you're making a real contribution to the world through your focused efforts. Fifth, you'll become a source of inspiration and guidance for others who want to develop their own focus. People will naturally gravitate toward you for advice, for mentorship, for example, of what's possible when someone commits fully to their development. You'll have the privilege of helping others discover and develop their own areas of focused excellence. This is the life that awaits those who have the courage to focus so hard that others think they've disappeared. This is the reward for those who are willing to say no to good opportunities so they can say yes to great ones. This is the fruit of developing the discipline to concentrate your energies on what matters most rather than scattering them on what matters least. But perhaps the greatest reward of all is the knowledge that you didn't waste the precious gift of your life. You didn't spend your days in scattered activity that led nowhere. You didn't allow your talents to atrophy from lack of focused development. You didn't reach the end of your life wondering what you might have accomplished if you had only learned to focus. Instead, you chose to disappear into your focus so that you could emerge with contributions that will last long after you're gone. You chose to develop your capabilities so fully that you became a person of true substance and value. You chose to create a life of meaning and impact rather than just activity and busyness. The choice is before you right now. You can continue to live a scattered life, responding to every distraction, chasing every opportunity, trying to please everyone and accomplish everything, and achieving very little of significance. Or you can choose to focus so intensely on what truly matters that others think you've disappeared, knowing that you're actually appearing more clearly and powerfully than ever before in the one place that matters most, the arena where dreams become reality. The world needs people who are willing to focus deeply, to develop their talents fully, to contribute their unique gifts generously. The world needs people who understand that excellence requires focus, that mastery demands concentration, that significance comes from sustained effort applied intelligently over time. Your life is waiting for you to bring this kind of focused intensity to your most important goals. Your potential is waiting for you to give it the concentrated attention it needs to emerge. Your dreams are waiting for you to focus so hard on making them reality that everything else fades into the background. The time for scattered effort is over. The time for focused excellence has arrived. The time to disappear into your focus so that you can emerge with the life you were meant to live is now. Make the choice. Begin today. Focus so hard that others think you've disappeared, and discover what becomes possible when you finally appear where you belong.